What happens when your worst fear becomes your reality? Hi, I'm Brent Cassidy. Welcome to the Nightmare Success In and Out podcast, where we explore how to overcome your fears and nightmares to set yourself free. We're going to be exploring this topic with guys I was in Leavenworth with. We're going to be talking about life before prison, life in prison, and life out of prison. These stories can be inspiring, sometimes sad. There's some humor, but hopefully you can come away with a nugget of something that will help you knock down some of the prisons you built up in your own mind. Folks, today I've got the hardworking man, Billy Vasquez, with me. Billy, welcome in, man.
Hello, thank you. Thank you, man. It's an honor.
Billy, one of the things I was thinking, first of all, we had a hell of a time getting connected here on this Zoom with seeing. Thank God it works, because otherwise I would have had to do something I've never done before, and we wouldn't have wanted that to happen. God only knows what would have happened.
Yes, sir.
One of the things I remember, Billy, about you is, first of all, you were the guy there was some big equipment that Leavenworth had. I mean, big trucks and other big equipment, and you were always the guy that was driving that around. Did you learn that at an early age, like growing up?
Yes, I did. I I was always around farm equipment, and it just, the big stuff always fascinated me, and I would always tell my stepfather, which raised me like his own, I want to be able to operate those one of these days and do all those amazing things that people do on them.
Yeah.
And I was always in my head, and he goes, and the things that helped me out is that my dad always told me, he goes, well, you see that guy that's on it right now? And I said, yeah, he ain't no different than you, so you'll be able to
Yeah.
do that.
So, Billy, growing up, where did you grow up? Take me back to where Billy was as a kid.
In some town that I hate to even remember or mention, but it was Muleshoe, Texas.
Okay.
I went to school there. I played a little football there, and I got into a lot of trouble there too. But I started working at a real young age, and we were. My dad was a farm worker, and we did a lot of what do I want to say, agriculture, like
Yeah.
picking peppers and watermelons, and pretty
Yeah.
pretty hard work, man.
Hard work all day long in the sunshine down in Texas.
It
Yeah.
went, hot or cold. We were out there so we could, pay our
Did you?
bills. And
What about siblings, brothers, sisters?
I had two brothers that lived with us. Yeah, two smaller brothers, two younger ones.
So were you the oldest?
Yes, I'm the oldest, and I have a
Yeah.
sister, but she didn't live with us. She lives with one of my aunts. She she's she's
And mom and dad, they stay together, marriage.
yeah, they stayed together till my father passed away whenever I was 18 years old.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, he passed away during Christmas in Mexico on vacation.
Were you with him?
Yeah, I was with him, man. We were, me and my little brother and him went down there to go visit family, and we were down there, and he had a little accident, and yeah, he died on Christmas, man.
Hmm. He did actually
Yeah,
died. He actually died on Christmas, Billy.
yes, on
Oh,
Christmas, man.
wow.
Yeah, it was
Does that make
horrible. We
Christmas
had
kind
to.
of tough, being the fact that
It
that's when he died?
it does it because you're always gonna remember him, and on that special day you have to be happy for your other
Yeah.
loved ones. But he's always in the back of your mind on that day. Well, the memory, of
Yeah.
because we had to see him actually dead in the vehicle, and help him get him off and everything.
Oh man,
Yeah,
quite a
over there they
day.
do things a little different, man.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
I noticed
it,
like
it, it really
Go ahead.
it really affected my little brother because he was like, real attached to him, and he was the baby.
Hmm.
And I mean, it devastated my brother. So the
How
state,
old? How old do you think your brother would have been, Billy, at that point? Because you said you were 18.
my father,
No,
my son,
your brother, your little brother. You said it affected him. He was younger. How old would he have been? How much younger is he than you?
he's 7 years younger than me.
Okay. Yeah.
He's 40 years old right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it affected him really bad, man. He he couldn't. To this day, it really he never been able to step out of it.
Yeah.
And
So, Billy, when you were doing all that work and the family was doing the work in the fields and that, what when you turned 18 or you got out of high school, what did you do after that?
well, I I was always, just going from jobs to jobs. I had a child at a real young age, and I was, struggling with some addictions and alcohol, and you know, working, just farm work and just construction and stuff like that, and really nothing stable. You know what I mean? Just
Hmm.
and just living on the edge, man. You know what I mean? All the time.
Did you have like a group of guys that you? I mean, did you realize, Billy? Because some people realize when they're addicted or they have a drinking problem early on, and some people don't. They're just functioning and going along in their life. Were you hanging around like a group of guys that everybody was kind of that's what they were doing and it seemed normal, or did you say, or did you think, no, I don't really feel that normal. I need to kind of figure
Well,
this out.
it was a big part of our life since we were little kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My parents, my father, he did it. My uncles did it. Everybody around us. So that was just like something normal that we did every weekend.
Hmm.
Every Friday and Saturday. And my friends that I grew up with, all of them, it was the same thing. It was just something normal to us, and we did it all the time.
Because I know I see a lot of things on your Facebook. You got a lot of like big family functions and things. It looks like you still have like a lot of family around you. Did when you were going through that, were you still connected to all the family members and everything, or were you
Yeah.
somewhat separated?
Well, no, I've always been real connected to all my family. I mean, we got some that just like they think they're better than us, so those kind of stayed away.
That's like every family, right?
Oh yeah, and I'm real big into keeping the family together, everybody talking, getting along, and we were raised everybody big functions, we would any little thing turned it to be a big thing,
Yeah.
and still to this day, even we, I love being around family, and my family's kind of a little bit really busy and in different towns, and some of our family just don't want nothing to do with each other, and I'm trying to bring everybody in, but it's kind of hard.
You think you kind of do that because you're the oldest of the
Yeah,
family, pull everybody
yeah,
together? I get some
and
of that. I'm
and
oldest
it's
of my
kind of
family.
hard because just you know people want to be, they just want to like separate, and you know we don't have time or this and that, and I'm like, man, ever since I got out of prison, I wanted to connect with everybody, especially my family, and it just didn't work that way.
Yeah, I think that's something that when you go to prison, it really puts a lot of different things in perspective with how you see things when you, well, what you see is important. The
Yeah.
family and freedom and trying to be happy and
Sunsets,
having people together.
sunrises.
I get that, man. Well,
Yeah.
so how did everything occur, Billy, with you? Because did you, as you were veering in, you felt like you had a little bit of a drinking deal and some drugs. Did it
Yeah.
veer into that you started getting with people who made a business out of that?
Well, the way it started, I mean, whenever I think when I first got into some serious issues, I was about 27 years old, and I was
Hmm.
selling a little bit of cocaine, and I got my house raided, and and I went to jail, and it was a pretty big hit on my family, and luckily I got an attorney, and it was a state deal, so I was able to avoid prison, and I got
Mm-hmm.
a 10-year probation sentence, and it 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 was hard, but I was just I had to do about 6 months, and they gave me work release, and I was one of those guys that would go to jail and start cleaning the jail and trying to help out, and they noticed that, and they said, "We can't believe you're that kind of person. You seem like a really good guy, and I don't think you belong in here." And the jailer talked to the judge, and they gave me early release, man. But I had to do 10 years on probation, and I still didn't learn my lesson, and I got into a couple a little bit more trouble, and now that I look at it, I'm like, dang, I guess I was just dying to go to prison. You know what I mean?
Yeah, kind of just daring standing on
Always,
the edge.
I'm one of those guys that I always walked on the line, the good and bad, but I was always pushing my luck, and you know, I straightened out a little bit whenever I became a single parent of my
Mm-hmm.
my daughter and my son, just a little bit, you know, and I was managing a co-op, which is like a farm store and has a tire shop, and was doing very well, man. I mean, I was doing good, and I became part of the fire department and fire and rescue. I was a first responder. That was one of my
I remember that. I remember you talking about that in RDAP.
yeah, it was one of the best things that I went through life, and other than my kids, and the people there, they liked me so much, and they paid for all my schooling. They sent me to Texas A&M, fire school 2 years in a row, and paid for everything, gave me all kinds of training, and I was certified in all kinds of stuff. Jaws of Life was a big part of my community, but I was a very well functioning addict, and also, trying, living on the edge, hanging out with
Mm-hmm.
people that I shouldn't have been hanging out with, and doing little favors for them here and there, and you know, eventually it caught up to me, and my little boy was 2 years old. I started another family, and I still had my daughter. My daughter had just turned 16 whenever I got arrested from the feds, and my son was 17, and my little boy was 2 years old, and it was horrible, man. And then I
How
had
did it
to be
happen,
very
Billy? How did it happen? What went down?
well. What went down was there was a group of guys that I knew, and they always wanted me to get involved in transporting marijuana from the border back up here, back around here, and I never wanted to do it because I was making really good money and I didn't need it,
Mm-hmm.
and I just didn't want to get involved because of my kids and everything like that. But at the same time, it kind of intrigued me, to be part of that group, know them guys and know what they did.
Mm-hmm.
And, it came with the benefits of knowing them, we used to go to parties, bars, and we had the best of everything, fighting roosters illegally.
Yeah, there was a
And,
certain status to it. Yeah.
yeah. And that lifestyle at the moment, I was like all into it, and they were like, come on, man, you can make big money. I said, no, I'm good. I can do this. But, that every once in a while, they'd be like, hey, can you find me a truck, or can you find me a driver? And that's how I started getting involved, little by little like that. And I always told them, I said, I never want to be part of the actual transport or anything like that. But yeah, I'll find you a pickup, or I'll find you somebody that'll help you drive it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And, one day they had a semi in South Texas on the other side of the border, and they needed some they needed to disguise the load with, it was a dump truck, and they needed to buy some, it was called bentonite. Bentonite is what they use like for ponds, or when they drill a well, they put that on the
Mm-hmm.
casing, some kind of sand, and they couldn't order it. And then they came to me and they said, hey, all we need you to do is just order this sand, and you pay for it with our credit card. So I called that company and, got it set up and bought it, and everything was good. And that's how I got involved, man. I got a conspiracy charge for aiding and abetting with intent to distribute. They did it twice, and they got caught the second time. The first time, everything went so smooth.
Everybody thought it was great. Yeah.
Everything, but they got greedy and they wanted to do it back to back.
Yeah.
And I told them it was a bad idea, and they did it on the second time, and that's whenever they got caught. And they got caught with about 700 pounds, and they charged us with 1,400 because they said that was the second time that had happened. Even though they didn't bust us the first time, they still charged us with 1,400 pounds of marijuana.
So when you got arrested, Billy, I mean, was it a raid, or did they just come and take you, or what? How did that happen?
It was horrible because I was working for a company that built dairies over here, and I was kind of like the guy that delivered all the machinery, the equipment, anything they needed. We were building one of the largest dairies in the United States, indoor dairies, and we had about 300 employees. And I showed up in the morning to the job site on the pickup and the trailer, and all the guys came to me to start ordering whatever they needed, and I was going to go get it for them. And we seen like 4 Suburbans coming down the road, and the sheriff, and the guys thought it was the immigration. And I told them, I said, don't worry about it, I got this. You know what I mean? They thought it was the immigration, and they went straight towards me and they surrounded me.
Yeah.
And I said, yes, sir, how can I help you? And they're like, it said, federal government, whatever, and Homeland Security. And they're like, are you Billy Jack Vasquez? And I said, I sure am. And they're like, you're under arrest.
So then, Billy, how long a period of time did everything take for that to come to fruition, where you were looking at what you were going to plead to?
Are you still there?
Yeah, I got you.
Some reason I lost the audio on my deal.
Yeah, no, the audio's good. Actually, the audio is better than it's been.
It was working good until a phone call came in. Hang on, buddy.
I can hear you good.
Okay. I can't hear you on my headset. Are you still there?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Oh God.
I got you. I've got you good, Billy. I mean, you sound better. You sound better than you did before.
Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry.
I can hear you really good. Okay.
Okay. What was that question again?
I was saying, so when they took you that day, how long a process did you go through before you knew they had you dead to right, and you had, to make a decision of here's your deal, and whether you're going to go to trial or all that good stuff?
Okay. Yeah. They took me, I lived in the country. I had a little place in the country. There was about 4 or 5 Suburbans. I can't remember, but anyways, they took me back to my house, and they were searching the house like crazy. I had animals and, my corrals that were over there searching. Somebody had told them that I had all kinds of drugs buried and money and all that stuff. And they were out there with metal detectors, dogs, and they couldn't find anything. There was nothing to.
Were your kids in the house? Yeah.
My son was there. My daughter was at school, and they were searching. They turned my house upside down and everything. And I mean, they didn't find anything because there was nothing really there was nothing there.
Mm-hmm.
And so they they picked up the guy that was actually he worked right next to my house, and they picked him up and they hauled us to Amarillo, and then they were like, "Hey, how do you know this guy?" And I was like, "Well, I was being straight up, right off the rip. I was I was like, my life's over, you know what I mean? And I was just
Yeah.
going with the flow. I was like, I've known him for 3, 4 years. And then he goes, well, they were just trying to get more stuff out of us, but there really wasn't that much. I was telling them everything that I knew.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, well, that's funny because he says he doesn't know you. And I said, well, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. And he goes, we know y'all know each other because y'all talk all the time on the phone. We got that, we got all that. And I said, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm telling you the truth. And if he doesn't want to tell you the truth, I can't control him. But yeah, I stood here in Amarillo until the feds picked me up and they took me to the border where the crime happened, to Pecos, Texas, close to the border.
Mm-hmm.
And I was there 5 months before I got sentenced. And the reason I got sentenced so fast is because I was guilty. I accepted
Mm-hmm.
responsibility, and uh, they put separate T's on all of us where we couldn't, be in the same. We were in the same jail, but we couldn't be in the same cell
Mm-hmm.
because there was a guy that was telling on everybody, and out of I think there was 13 of us that were involved in that conspiracy, and the guy that was the driver, he was a friend of mine, and he's the one that told on all of us and everybody's involvement and all that. So they sentenced him, they said, you want to fight? If you want to fight, you know what happens when you fight with the feds.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get double your time. So I guess they scared me, and I just said, you know what, I'm guilty. And I mean, it was the toughest 5 months of my life, because I was losing everything. I was losing my house. My children, I had to leave my son alone, and my fiance, she was hanging on by a thread.
Mm-hmm.
It was affecting her really bad. She was just drinking all the time and really not paying attention to the kids, and it was horrible, man, because I was supposed to get married like in a couple months, and
So
now I'm
everything was good, Billy, and then it
yeah, it
wasn't.
was it was really good, and then all of a sudden my nightmare began, buddy. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And
So Billy,
go
was
ahead.
were the kids going to stay with your parents, or what? How did that all shake out? Like when you were in, you said you had the fiance. Was she watching the kids, or how did all that?
Well, my fiance, she lived in her own house, and then
Okay.
I lived with my two kids at my own house, and she had my 2-year-old. Me and
Mm-hmm.
her had my son Xavier, and my daughter was 16 and my son was 17. So I didn't know what to do. I was just I didn't I for the first time in my life I was
You went on mute there, Billy. There you go.
and
You said for the first time in your life you were.
yeah, because I was always in control of everything, and then all of a sudden I didn't, I couldn't make any decisions. I was
Yeah.
just telling them I don't know what to do, and my ex-wife, she's like, well, I'll take my daughter and my son back, but they didn't want to go with her, so they ended up going with my sister for a little bit, and then that didn't work out, and my daughter, it was affecting her. What my what I did was affecting her too, and she kind of struggled a little bit, and then she ended up with my mother.
Mm-hmm.
And my son, well, he was already old enough to go fend for himself.
So Billy, all that
Yeah.
swirling around, man, and then you decide you're going to plea. Then where did they send you? Well, then your
I'm
plea, I guess, was you told me it was you got an 8 year sentence, right?
84 months. It was
84 months.
84 months. Yeah, and everybody there couldn't believe it because they were like, "It's just marijuana. It's just marijuana." But the reason I got enhanced a little bit is because of my prior felonies, because I had prior felonies,
Yeah.
and so they said, if you're gonna plea out, we can have this done and fast. You start your time and you go to prison, and it's a lot better than being in this shithole. And it was a
Yeah, the
shithole.
county. Yeah. I can't
And
believe you were in
and the
there for
one
5 months. That's a long time to be in county.
man, and the one in Peckles was a shithole, buddy. I'm sorry to say
Mm-hmm.
that, but god dang. But anyways, I got sentenced to 84 months. Uh, 3 days later, in the middle of the night, the bus shows up, and we're going to Oklahoma City to get
Transfer.
transferred, and then to get see if you're a gang member. What do they call that? Classified.
Yeah.
They classify you, and they see you know where you're gonna go or what prison has room for you. And I think I was in Oklahoma City for 2 weeks, and then they put me on the Con Air to Inglewood, Colorado, to a low prison.
Billy, what was your time like at Oklahoma? Because everybody talks about it as just a terrible place as a transfer
It was
center.
one of the moments getting over there because it took us 2 days from Pecos on the bus, on the prison bus
Yeah.
so we would
You were
have to
probably shackled and everything.
shackled head to
Yeah.
toe, and the bus was full, man. And I remember taking that bus ride, and I was, inside of me, I was just all torn up. And then what was funny is there was some guys in there with life sentences, and they're talking and laughing, and I'm like, what the hell, man? How can you be? You know what I mean?
Yeah, because your head's spinning.
Yeah, I said
Yeah.
I got 84 months. You got a life sentence, and you're more happier than I am. You know what I mean? And I was like, I just couldn't figure it out, man. And we had to stop every 8 hours and would go to the county, and they would check us in, and
Mm,
strip search us, and it was
mm,
horrible, man.
mm. It's
And we
never
would
good to travel as a prisoner.
no, it's not, man. You have to do the whole body cavity search almost.
Yeah, it was funny is I went. It was actually when we were in RDAP, Billy,
Yes,
and I had to go back to that civil trial. And
yes,
the
sir.
guys, one of the guys told me, hey, Cass, it's not going to be a big deal at all. In fact, you'll probably go with the marshals, and they'll take you through Taco Bell, and you'll probably even get to McDonald's by St. Louis. So I get picked up by Warren County sheriffs, and the first thing they do is they shackle me, and I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't anything anybody talked about. And I was thrown in the back of that van, and they pulled into some place, because they don't get their gas at a normal place, and then they
Yeah,
throw that bag back there that's got like this really weird looking meat in it, and this cheese and
yeah,
warm milk, and I thought, man, this is a long ways from
yeah,
Taco Bell, McDonald's, but
man.
that's just, and then you get thrown into that county jail scene, and for me, I did it in reverse because I was at Leavenworth and then went into the county.
Mm,
And man, people who get those two thinking that they're the same thing, people on the outside, hey, jail, prison, they're so different,
it is, man. I
totally
I
different world.
whenever we finally got to Oklahoma City, man, we were in the bus. It goes in a basement, and the CO gets on there, and he's like, any Tango Blast, starts naming off gang members.
Hmm.
Any gang members in here, and all the Tango Blasts get up, and I'm sitting there because I'm nothing. I'm
Right.
just a guy. I'm just a guy. I'm from Texas.
You're a Texan.
Yeah, and so these guys get up, and I guess they have to separate them because they can't all be together.
Yeah.
And they start naming off all these other, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from, Texas and this and that." "Oh, you should be in the Texas unit." And I said, "Well, I don't know." So they just threw me in with everybody else with the mix, and it was pretty tough, man, because everybody was affiliated and I wasn't affiliated, and they're like, "Well, who are you gonna run with?" Well, I'm not gonna make that decision until I get to prison. Well, you won't be able to eat here. You know how prison is. You won't be able to
Oh
eat
yeah,
here. You can't do there. You can't.
yeah.
And
Can't
thank
be in
God I
our
just,
spot.
yeah, you know how that stupid shit is over there.
It is stupid.
Yeah, but it was good because the paisas, the Mexicans, like from Mexico, the paisas,
Hmm.
they took me under their wing, and they said, you don't have to run with us, but you'll make your choice when you get to prison. But you can eat here with us. We'll take care of you, whatever. And in 2 weeks, I was there 2 weeks, and it was horrible, man,
Yeah.
horrible. And then they put us in this. Again at 3 o'clock in the morning, they get us out and they stick us in this big old holding cell. I think there was about 200 people in there,
Mm.
all kinds of crazy. Man, it's just horrible. And then we got to get in line and get chained up again to get on Con Air. And
So
it was just,
what's going through your head? What's going through your head, Billy?
I don't want to get on this damn airplane, but I don't have a damn choice, man. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no control. Yeah,
No
you got no
control.
control, no
I mean,
rights.
I'm chained up, and I see everybody chained up, and we can barely walk.
Yeah,
And I'm and
it's
I'm
hard to look
like,
cool. It's hard to look cool walking in the
it,
shackles.
it
It's
is,
just
man.
you got a weird shuffle going on.
And then they put us on this plane, man, and we get to, I can't remember, Trinidad, Colorado. The plane lands there,
Hmm.
and whenever we land there and we're getting out of the plane, I mean, there's marshals all the way around us with shotguns, and
Guns drawn. Yeah.
I'm like, man, I really did it this time. You know what I mean?
This is the real deal.
I
Yeah.
said, I really did it this time, man. I was like, I can't believe I'm going through this. I was like, I really screwed up, man. I said, I can't believe I'm going through this shit.
Just
And then they put us on a bus, and off we go to Inglewood Prison, where I did about 3 years.
yeah. What was your like getting there? Your first day. What was it all like getting into Inglewood? Because that would have been kind of this is going to be your home for a
Well,
while.
it was just like it was just like the movies, man. The bus, you're coming up to the prison, you see these barbed wire fences,
Yeah,
and the marshals, circling it around, and
with the
you go into
shotguns.
the yeah, you go into the Sally port, and then they start telling you, hey, get off, and it's gonna be a while. They don't get in no hurry, and plus you got plenty of time. Y'all get in this holding cell, and then we're gonna process y'all one at a time, and then we'll give you your clothes and your blankets and your little hygiene, and off you go to the big house. And we're all sitting in there, and we're all talking to each other, and there's a restroom right there. And if you have to go, you have to go in front of 30 other guys that are there, and it's a really small deal. And we were there all day, and yeah, people had to go to the restroom, man. People had to take shits and everything, and
Mm,
we're right there. And after they take a shit, it's time to eat. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
just horrible, but it was just,
yeah, like
God,
animals.
yeah. And I just couldn't believe that I was going through it, man. I just kept on saying, dang, you had the best, and now look at you.
Yeah, it's such a drastic change, and it that whole thing is almost like a shock treatment of when they process you through prison because you can almost feel like your freedom's shedding off your skin when you're going through that.
Yeah. And
So
and
Billy, did
then
you get when you got in there? Did the guys? Did you feel like they were helpful and kind of getting you set up and getting you to know the place and
well,
getting a job and all those things?
the COs, which is the correction officers, of course. Me and you know that, but
Yeah.
maybe somebody that hadn't been there doesn't know what we're talking about. But they gave me the impression that they really didn't give a shit about you, and you were just another number to them.
Which we actually do have numbers. That's the
Yeah,
unfortunate thing.
yeah, we did. And one of them said, "Hey, I'm a counselor, so I'm an Inglewood counselor, and if do you need counseling?" And I said, "Well, I don't know." I said, I'm really lost right now in my family.
Hmm.
He goes, "Well," he goes, "I got about 400 400 other people that are in the same situation as you. So, you'll learn how to deal with it once you get in there. He told me.
That's nice. Very nice
Yeah.
counselor.
Yeah.
Very
Oh,
caring.
yeah. But,
You'll figure it out.
it's called punishment for a reason.
Yeah.
I guess we do expect a little bit of leniency and like a little bit of help or anything like that. But man, it was horrible. Your counselor don't give a shit about you. They just want to be left alone,
Yeah.
and you just do your time and leave us
Well,
alone.
one thing I did notice about you though, Billy, you handled prison from the outside looking in for somebody like me looking at you doing prison. You had a very cool, laid back vibe. Uh, you were a seemingly looked to be a guy that was getting along, not feeling like a victim, but just generally, however happy you can be in prison. I always got uh, it seemed like you were getting by. You had some kind of strategy on how you were getting through, and some guys don't. I kind of think that you look at guys that are in prison and you see guys that are moping around. There's the victimhood, and they've kind of slid down that slippery slope. You weren't one of those guys. You were active. You were working, trying to better yourself. And you were telling me when you went to Inglewood, you did a lot of uh, programming, yeah, and things that helped you get even out and transferred and your points down sooner. How did that work?
Well, I just one of the things that I met a guy in there that he had been locked up for a long time, and me and him became really good friends, almost like a brother deal.
Mm-hmm.
And he got me into leather, and he's telling me, hey, he's like my mentor, man, and I still talk to him to this day, and he's like, you got to program, man, you got to stay busy, keep your mind occupied. He goes,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna have another chance at all this at life again, and make your stuff right with you. And I guess just seeing, I'm the type of person that I learn from other people's mistakes,
Yeah.
and I try to preach that to my kids. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you'll get another shot at going out there and making things right, and you'll also get another shot at getting into more serious trouble.
Right.
You
You
know
got a
what I mean?
choice.
So you
Yeah.
so you got to pick what you really want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, well, I just want to focus on getting out. And my 2-year-old boy, he was the main deal, man.
Mm-hmm.
Leaving a little child like that.
Yeah, that'd be horrible.
My older kids, they could fend for themselves a little bit, but my little
Mm-hmm.
baby,
Yeah.
and I was so attached to him. He was so attached to me, and I just started doing all kinds of programs. I had plenty of time to do it, so I
Yeah.
started doing, business and restaurant managing, uh, financial 101, parenting, anger management. And I just started doing all kinds of stuff. And then I got into leather. And thank God I got into leather because I was doing leather every chance I got. Me and him were just always doing leather. And it helped my time out. So, I mean, it just helped me
Well,
out. And
well, for those that don't know, I have, still have, the Billy Vasquez special from, he made my wallet in prison, and it's still good today. And I carried that thing every day for 3 years
yeah,
at Leavenworth. But you
man,
actually did good leather work. I mean, it was
thank you. I,
nice.
I try to get out of here and do it, but I didn't
Yeah,
have time.
yeah,
I didn't have time. But my buddy, he sends me all kinds of stuff he's in Inglewood still, and he sends me all kinds of stuff to try to help him sell it.
sure.
But I'm like, man, I don't want to sell it. I love this stuff, man.
I'll just keep it.
I'll just buy it from you and keep it
Yeah.
because I mean, I
Well,
know the all the time that goes into it and all the work
oh
and
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
But Billy, the thing of it is that and I wonder why there's more programming like that in the lows and mediums, and then you get to the camp level, the minimum, and they really don't have anything except for the RDAP program. There was some GED. I know that
Mhm.
Michael Hughes had gotten involved with that education part, but for the most part, uh, it seems like they cut so much of that out when you get down to the camp level. I'm not sure why that is.
I guess because you don't really have people doing long sentences. I don't know, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, programming was supposed to be. It's for the government, the federal government. Provides all that for us so we can try to better ourselves when we get out. You know what I mean?
And
I
you'd think that if somebody
don't.
doesn't have a lot of time, they try to get them while, if it's whether it's a year or 10 years, that you can get them whatever that is
Yeah.
better
I
into getting out back into the world.
I never thought about that, man. And but the thing that I did like about the camp is you get to go work out, go work at these
Yeah.
shops and everything that were around the prison. And when I went to the shop where you actually work on vehicles and machinery and
Yeah.
all that they had out there.
You and I were right next to each other. I was at the food warehouse and you were at the shop.
Yes, sir.
It,
Yes, sir. I
it,
remember that.
it's
I would go
a
eat
lot.
burgers with y'all. Remember?
That's right. We ate good. We ate good at the food warehouse.
Oh
There was one
man,
hell of a perk up there.
heck
I mean,
yeah.
and talking about CEOs, I don't know if Matt Knoll is still there, but you know, there were good CEOs and there were bad CEOs. Matt Knoll was a good CEO. He really just was a guy. He wasn't trying to force anything on anybody. He's trying to treat us like regular people, and I always appreciated that about him.
Yeah. Well, the CEO that was with us when I went to the shop,
Hmm.
he had just started. His name was White. His last name was White.
Yeah, remember White? Yeah,
Yeah, and he had just started. So he was new to the shop, and he's like, "Hey, Billy, I heard you know a lot about." I said, "Yeah, man, I've been around this." He goes, "You help me out, I help you out." And I said,
yeah.
"Okay, man." And and I mean, I was just making him look good because I was fixing everything, man. I mean, they're like,
And
"What?"
for those who don't know, Billy, you fixed like all the trucks and stuff that were on that whole campus. So
Yeah,
I think a lot of people don't realize that the inmates do everything, and
yeah,
it's you know if there's trucks to be worked on, it's not somebody who's hired by the federal government. It is the inmates. If there's electrical problems, it's the electrical shop. If there's paint to be done, it's painting. If
yeah,
there's mowing to be done, it's all
yeah,
inmates. And then we did the food warehouse, and we moved quite a bit of food up there for 2,200 people. But
yeah. I think
you did. But you're right about one thing about that was really I thought was liberating, and I never could figure out why the guys stayed behind the fence because it really did feel different to go to work every day in the shop or at the food warehouse or Unicore or whatever when you got out of that fenced in area because some of those guys stayed in there all the time.
yeah, yeah. It was. I mean, the first time that I showed up at the camp, and they're like, "Walk out them doors and go to the shop,"
Yeah.
and I said, I was afraid to walk out the door.
Yeah, right.
And the CEO, there was only one CEO, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Can I, can I?" He goes, "Get out of here, man.
Yeah.
You're at a camp. Get out of here."
Yeah.
So I remember walking out I walked out the doors, and I started walking to the shop by myself, and I'm like, I was almost in tears, man, because I
Yeah.
felt
And
free
it'd been
again.
what it had been no, seriously, Billy, it had been like 3 or 4 years, right?
Yeah,
That you've
yeah.
been
And
kind of
I was,
walking behind out beyond the fence.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
nervous, man, and I was walking to the shop, which was maybe a mile or a little bit under. I could see the trees, I could see deers, I could see turkeys, and I
Yeah.
was like, I'm free again.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
And
it does give you that feel. I never could figure out why other guys didn't take advantage of that feeling because I made sure that I walked every day to the food warehouse because I liked
yeah,
walking that
yeah,
mile, to see kind of the world going on Metropolitan Boulevard and just
yeah,
feeling like you were kind of normal.
yeah. Another thing about the shop that was a blessing, and I thank God that I had to, in a tough situation, it there was a lot of blessings. I met a bunch of great people there, man, and the guys in our shop, we became like a little family too.
Mhm.
And a bunch of them guys didn't know, they're already in their late 30s and didn't know a dang thing about working on vehicles or anything.
Hmm.
or busting tires, and I started showing them. And what intrigued me that they were so focused on wanting to learn to take it out to the world, which we used to say, out here to the
Yeah.
freedom. And so I showed a lot of them how to drive trucks. I helped them get their CDL in there, and I showed a lot of them how to do mechanic work and bust tires. And a lot of
Billy,
them,
don't you, Billy, don't you think that that helped you move along your time? I mean, to me, that doing things like that seems like that when you're helping somebody and they're learning something new and you're able to basically use your brain and your knowledge, it almost seems like it shrinks your time a little bit.
it did, man. It helped me out a lot, and it came with a lot of reward. You know what I mean? Because they were thankful, so they were hooking me up with
Hmm.
whatever they could. And then the CEO, he's like, Billy, you're just making me look really good, man. I mean, hell, you know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah, and they like that.
even the warden was
Yeah.
like, I don't know what the hell you're doing over there, but just keep on doing it.
Yeah.
And you know, a bunch of those guys that really wanted to do something, they send me messages right now. They're like, hey man, you know, I can't, without you, what you showed me, I don't think I would be out of prison still to this day. But since the knowledge that you showed me in there and all this, I got me a good job and I'm doing good. And I'm like, oh man,
Man, that's got
you
to
know,
fill you up, man. That's
oh
got to fill
man,
you up, make you feel good.
yeah. I said
That's
in a
good
horrible,
stuff. Because I mean,
and
I was going to say, Billy, you and I both know there's some good guys that we were in prison with,
hmm
and
hmm
they wanted and needed an opportunity to get out, and you helping them get along that way, it's a big deal. It really
it
is.
helped. It helped me out a lot too. You know what I mean?
Sure, it did.
Yes, sir. But yeah, I still keep in contact with them a little bit, through social media and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But everybody's busy with their lives, and there's one guy that he came to visit me, and we visit for a little bit. Went to dinner, and he's doing good and still thankful, and he's
Yeah.
always thankful.
Billy, I'm wondering, like, because being in it the length of time that you were in, there's hard days that happen in prison. There's things where you feel like you're further away from everybody that you want to be with. How did you handle hard days in prison?
Man, I just, you know, I I just, prayed a lot, and and a lot of people say, oh yeah, you go to jail and you start, reading the Bible, and then you get to know God a little bit more. But I've always been since a little kid a good believer, and always, and there was a point where I wanted to give up, man, but I knew that there was people that I was gonna hurt, if I did something stupid. I was like, they're crying right now, but at least they won't be crying forever.
Hmm.
I said, I just gotta pull myself through this and keep busy, and I had a good communicate. I lost everybody in prison, but my mother was always there, and
Hmm.
whenever I was having a bad day, man, just to hear her voice and her,
That kept you
just to,
grounded.
yeah, just build me up
Yeah.
again, and I was ready to go for a little bit longer, and I had really good people in there, really good friends, man, that you
Hmm.
become a family in there,
Yeah.
and we
Well, it
just
becomes
lived
your
like we're,
life. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we just lived like, on Friday nights, they had a movie, and
Yeah.
we
There
would
was a
cook
big deal
something.
in Leavenworth.
Yeah, we would cook something, or if not, there
Oh
was,
yeah.
remember
Oh
that
yeah.
little flea market line.
I loved it. In fact, people wouldn't believe that flea market line going into the gymnasium where we saw the movies because everything. I mean, there was everything. There was
Yep,
brownies. There was. I mean, there was all
fudge,
kinds of stuff. Yeah, fudge,
burritos, pizzas,
burritos. Sometimes there was even ice cream.
ice cream. Yes, sir. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But, you just
Yeah.
gotta base. You just gotta. The first year that I was in prison was really rough because I thought I was gonna miraculously, get out
Mhm.
soon.
Mhm.
After the first year, after I lost my fiance, after she decided that she was gonna move on.
What'd that feel like in there?
it was horrible, man. I mean, it was
Yeah.
horrible because I really loved her, man, a lot. She was my everything, but I knew it was going to happen because, your buddies prepare you, for it.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you're going to get that Dear Don,
Mm-hmm.
Dear Don and Dear John, I'm sorry, Dear John
Yeah.
letter. And I was like, and I think I was stressing her out too because I was calling all the time because I loved her. I wanted to know what was
Mm-hmm.
going on with her and the kids. And I think it was a lot of stress on her too because it is, she couldn't have me and I couldn't be there to help her out. And once she moved on and we stopped communicating, it got better for me, man. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
it got better because everybody stopped communicating, stopped the letter stopped. Like everybody was preparing me, your family's gonna stop writing, your friends are gonna stop, and
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna stop answering the phone, and it did. The only one that was there was my beautiful mother,
Mm-hmm.
and
What happened with the kids? Like, how did that all work while you were away? Because you
my
had
older
two
kid,
teenagers and a younger
my
son.
two my two teenagers, they were doing their own thing, and we
Mm-hmm.
really didn't have any communication. My daughter ended up getting real close to me and going over there. She got pregnant, and then her mom moved to Colorado, and she used to go visit me quite a bit. Yeah, quite a bit over there. But my 2-year old, which I was more focused on him because he was a
Yeah,
little
he's
pup,
little. Yeah.
and my fiance took a wrong turn. She started doing drugs, and so my in-laws ended up with my son, and my mother-in-law was kind of not all for the prison life, and it wasn't good for my son. So I lost a little bit of communication, but I kept on trying, and every once in a
Mm-hmm.
while she would budge and let me talk to him. But I was a stranger to him, man. He was 2 years old when I left, and he didn't know what was going on, so he
Yeah.
really wouldn't say shit. He's like, but just to hear his little voice, and
Oh yeah. I can't imagine.
yeah,
Can't
and
imagine. So how old would he have been when you got out?
I got out whenever he was fixing to be 7 years old.
7 years old.
Yes, sir.
So tell me, Billy, when things started kind of getting close, 6 months in, and you know you're getting closer to the door, what's going through your mind?
Well, it was kind of weird because I still thought I had about 18 months left. I still thought I had 18 months left on my sentence.
Mm-hmm.
And then that 2 point reduction that everybody was getting, remember?
Yep, I remember a lot of people got it.
Yeah, for the nonviolent, so I thought after my RDAP, I got 18 months left.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, they're giving these 2 points out. And so everybody's getting it but me. So I'm like, well, here's another deal that, another bad hand dealt to me.
Well, we had
But
some really bad case managers there
oh
too.
man, that my whole prison life. But anyways, I walked into my case manager and I told her, I said, hey, um, can you find out if I got the 2 point reduction or whatever? She goes, you'll get something in the mail. Don't bother me right now. I'm real busy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my God. So I wrote to the judge and asked them if I qualified for that and everything. And 2 weeks later, they sent me a, a letter saying that I did a long time ago.
Mm.
So I was,
So you should.
man,
So you're saying you should have actually been out.
yeah,
Yeah.
because there's a process, there's a process that the halfway house was full, and they gotta
Yeah.
put you in for it, and when they accept you, then you're ready to go. So
Was
I
that
could
the
I could have,
witchy woman Alexander that was your
yes,
case manager?
sir.
Yeah. Oh
Sir.
God.
So I went in there with the letter and I said, look, and then she goes, oh, I could have had you out about 8 or 9 months ago. And I was
Oh
like,
God, Billy.
oh man, I wanted to cry because I was so pissed because
Mm.
I could have seen my granddaughter, be born, or be there.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen that way, man. And then after that, I still had to wait like 3 months before the halfway house accepted me. So it was just, oh man, it was just devastating, man.
Mm.
And then I
So
get to the half.
when you got out, because you're getting out of Leavenworth, going back to Texas, was how did you what happened that day? The
Well,
day that you were released?
the day I was released, they put me on a Greyhound bus
Yeah.
in Kansas over there
Uh huh.
to Amarillo, and that was going to take almost 2 days.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a long drive.
Yeah, so I mean, and then they stop everywhere, and
Every
every,
single place.
yeah, and I remember having my clothes. I was scared, man. I was at the dang bus stop, and I was just looking around, and then to see children and everything, I was just like, oh man, I was almost in tears.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting there, man, because I was still scared, man. Believe it or not, I was like, dang, I'm out in the open and all these people, and I was a little
Yeah, a lot
lightheaded.
going on. It's like jumping into a moving car. I mean,
Yeah,
everything's moving really fast.
yeah, and then they give you the big green bag, the military bag to put all your clothes in
Yeah,
there,
yeah,
and people kept on telling me, "Hey, thank you for your service."
yeah.
you
That's
know,
nice. That's nice. You're like,
so
yeah, I have served about seven
I
or
was
eight
like,
years.
"Yeah, about that." But I
You know
just
what
remember,
I heard the other night. I thought it was pretty interesting as an analogy. Is a guy said he felt like it went from black and white to color. Like
yeah,
you were living in prison in black and white, and all of a sudden, boom, you're in color when it's
yes, sir.
released.
Well, you know how it is. The federal prison colors is gray or brown
Yeah,
or white.
yeah, that's it. So
And
there
then,
are no
yeah,
colors.
now that he says that, yeah, you look at everything, you're like, oh wow, look at all these beautiful colors.
Yeah,
Look at the
yeah.
trees, look at the traffic, and but yeah, it took us.
So you finally, Billy, get down on this journey for 2 days to Amarillo. How does the world work from there?
Well, I go to the halfway house, and and you know, right away it felt like it was awesome because I mean they just wanted you to stay out of their way.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But there was one CO in there that for some reason she just hated me. I don't know why. And man, I thought I was gonna go back to prison because of her. She was just picking
Wow.
on me all the time, and
Well, you're not an unlikable guy, so this had to be a pretty bad lady.
yeah, she was really bad. But my counselor was awesome,
Okay.
and she said, hey, after 2 weeks, you're gonna have to go look for a job. And I said, okay, I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got a job right away, and then in less than a month, about a month and a half, they shipped me to Amarillo with an ankle monitor, and I came back to Amarillo, and my uncle had a little travel trailer by his shop, and he has a trucking company.
Mm-hmm.
So I was living there and working, man, working hard right off the rip. I started managing his little trucking company that he had. Everything was going good, and I was in charge of 12 guys and doing mechanic work, driving, dispatching, a little bit of everything. It was awesome, man, just to know that I was back and I was pretty, you know, I I
Felt
knew
like you were
I
back in the real world.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
back in the real world, and and
And
I had
Billy doing something you like doing.
yeah, I like doing it.
Yeah.
And then I was good at it, and I thought I was gonna forget a lot of stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
it comes back to you. It comes back to you, and then whenever you just have the thrive to get back on your feet. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
want nobody. I didn't want no handouts or nothing. I wanted
Just want an
wanted to get back.
opportunity.
Yeah, just give me the opportunity, and I'll take it from there.
Yeah.
And I started working, man. I mean, I was working hard, and as soon as that ankle monitor came off, I started doing a little extra work, and I started to be back on my feet. I was taking care of myself, my son, and helping out everybody that helped me out, man. And from that day on, it was just every day was just better and better and better. And
Just stepping into it. I
it
love it.
wasn't perfect. There was a
No,
lot of
it never. Nothing ever is.
there was a
Nothing
lot of
ever is.
there was a lot of obstacles, but I had the determination.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't gonna Nothing was gonna hold me back.
Yeah.
Nothing was.
It's a
And
mindset.
still to this day, I still, I work hard. I feel like I'm a key employee everywhere I go,
Yeah.
and a lot of people still to this day, they're still learning from me. They take my advice work wise. I work with a good company right now that I've been with 4 years, going on 4 years, and I've learned. It's just awesome right now, man. Everything's just going good.
I think that's great. And you know, Billy, you didn't waste any time. You everything that happened to you, you used it, and when you got out, you know, somebody can give you an opportunity, but if you're not ready for the opportunity, then you miss it. Whereas you were ready to step into it. Like you said,
Yeah.
nothing's perfect. Nothing's perfect, but you stepped and just kept staying determined with it. And now you got yourself in a good position. I follow you on Facebook, man. You're a busy man, weekends, weekdays, whatever the case is. But
Yes,
and
sir.
how about so the family? What's go? Just tell where are you today? What's
Okay.
how's the family and everything that's going on?
Okay. But one more thing before I tell you that, talking about determination,
Yeah.
and this might help out a lot of guys, because whenever I went to go report to my probation officer for the first time, he's like, "You got a big X on your back, you know that?" And I said, "Yeah, but that's not going to hold me back." I told him. He goes, "You know that there's a lot of guys that come in here and they feel sorry because they got felonies and they and they don't succeed because of that. What are you going to do so I can learn from you?" He told me,
Hmm.
"and try to teach them." I said, "Man, I know that a lot of people are going to look at me and say, 'Hey, this guy was in prison, or he's a drug dealer or whatever.' I already was prepared for all that. But I said, there's going to be a lot of people that are not going to look at that, and they're going to look at what I'm determined to do." And I never felt sorry for myself. You know, I never said, "Oh, I have 3 felonies on my record. I'm never going to get a decent job." And people will overlook that if you put your part. Nobody's going to hand you anything. They'll give you the
Right.
opportunity, and you take it from there. Yep.
I like
And
that, Billy.
yep.
You know,
And
I like that.
yeah. And I see today, and I try to help out people too, youngsters and everything like that. Like, man, don't. Well, they're always picking on me, or they're racist. Don't use that, man. Don't use that. Don't use that. Don't use that, and don't feel sorry for yourself, and don't feel like you're a victim. Just
Yeah,
overcome
and I
that,
think
and you'll
it.
be all right.
Yeah, and I think the victimhood thing. There's a lot of victimhood thing going around in this society right now. But I think one thing about that, I really think that zaps your strength. I think when you start having excuses and you're blaming people, feeling
Yeah.
sorry for yourself. But if you flip the script on it and you say you're a survivor, you're going to be determined. I think that actually gives you strength. And as you
Yeah.
step into that, you feel even better about it. But man, if we could, about the words that you're saying, Billy, if we
Yes,
could have
sir.
more of that in our society right now, where people just said, "Hey, I got what I have, but watch my actions, watch what I
Yes,
do.
sir. Yes, sir.
I've got it. I got the X on my back, but watch me."
Yeah. Watch me. I carry that with me everywhere, and it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
affect me one bit. A
Yeah,
one bit. And like I said, there's people out there that are gonna, especially right now. There's so much work right now.
yeah.
They don't care if you're gonna put your part. They're gonna put you to work. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, I have people that are close to me that got out of prison, and they're struggling, man. They're struggling, but I can see where they're struggling. But I can lead them to the water, but I can't make them to drink. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
can't force them to drink, man.
Mm-mm.
You got to do it. It's got to start with you, and how determined are you?
Mm-hmm.
When they were in prison, they're like, "Watch when I get out. Watch I'll do this. Watch I'll do that." It didn't work like that for them. But it's
Yeah,
it's all it's all on them though. It's nobody else's fault. It's their fault.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, man, right now I got custody of my two, my son that I left when I was in prison. I got custody of him last year.
Okay,
That
that's
was a
great.
long that was a long and expensive battle because of my past, but they finally he was wanting to come with me right off the rip.
Yeah,
And it was one of the toughest things, man, having to take him back home because his grandparents live about an hour away from Amarillo. I was getting the weekend visits, the holidays. But every time I had to take him back, oh man,
Mm.
he would get a little depressed and hang in there, son, hang in there. I go, you're doing time too. You're fixing to be free. But yeah, I got custody of him last year. It's been wonderful, man. He's,
That's
his
great.
grandparents said, oh, he's going to be doing terrible in school and this and that and this and that. And every report card that he's had since he's been with me, A's and B's.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and
That is
I
awesome.
send him a picture. I'm like, look,
He's fine.
yeah, he's all right. I he shocked me because he struggles a little bit in here and there, but he did it, man. He's a good boy. He's fixing to be 13, and he loves me. He loves being around here, and I got a girlfriend. She has two kids, and we all get along. We live good, and me and her work hard to provide them a good life, man.
That's great.
And
Anything I haven't asked you, Billy? Anything
uh,
you want to impart to the audience of what you've said? You said some good stuff, man.
man, I mean, it's just the truth, man. That's all it is. It's just the truth, and I do have a little bit of stuff that does still affect me, but
Hmm.
like I said, I'm so motivated and determined, and I'm gonna stay like that, man. I don't see no stopping it, nothing. I try not to let anybody negative try to stop me
Hmm.
from succeeding my goals. I had goals whenever I came out, and I'm almost accomplished, most of them.
Yeah.
Of course, a lot of people are like, well, I don't see you in a big fancy house or nothing like that. But you know what? I don't need none of that
Right.
because I got what I need
Yeah.
right now, and I'm happy, man. I'm just happy. I wish.
Well, I mean, once you live in a situation where you've got a bunk bed, a chair, and a locker, you understand that you can adapt to a lot. But that's
Yes,
not
sir.
what makes you, what makes you happy is being fulfilled by the people around you and having good relationships and feeling like you're making a difference.
Yes, sir. And I see my brother just got sentenced to 5 years, man. And when I got out, me and before I went to prison, me and him were everywhere together, always doing everything together. And whenever I got out, we try to fall back into the same routine that we had, but there was only one problem. My brother was addicted to meth,
Hmm.
and I didn't want nothing to do with it. And I was trying to help him and help him and help him.
Yeah.
But that's another thing, man. If you can't quit that on your own, I can't force it on you.
Oh no, it's got to be the person, and it's
And
hard
I
enough
and I
if it
tried,
is the person. Yeah.
and I tried, man. I was pretty brutal with them and cut him off and everything. And now he got his 5 year sentence, man. And
Is it
he called me
federal or
that
state?
state, and
Okay.
he called me that other day, and he goes, "What are you doing, brother?" And I said, "Because I cook a lot, you know that."
Yeah, oh yeah, you're a good cook.
Thank you. And I was cooking dinner for my family, and I'm not afraid to say that. You know what I mean? I cook for my girl all the time, and
Hmm.
she loves it. And he's like, I told him I'm cooking dinner for my woman and my kids. He goes, man. He goes, what I would do to. I said, you were here. I said,
Yeah.
you were here, brother, but you
Yeah.
chose not to be here. So
Yeah.
now you gotta do it.
Yeah. He's got he's got to get right. So when he gets out, he doesn't waste any time, just like you
Yeah.
did, Billy.
Hang on.
I got you. I can hear you. You hear me? Say something, Billy.
I'm sorry, man. Every time a call comes in, for some reason it cuts
Yeah, it
off my
pops
device,
out.
and I have to reset it. But yeah, man. I'm living a good life right now, man. I mean,
No, I can see it in your face, man. It's good. And I'm
yeah,
just I'm
it
I'm
is, man.
proud of you, Billy, on what you've done. I'm proud of how you handled yourself when you did your time. You were always the guy that was willing to help, do stuff. You stayed busy. You were kind of a role model guy for people to look at and say, "Hey, if you don't feel sorry for, to do stuff like that. I
Yeah,
always was
yeah,
looking for that because there were two ways to do your time: be busy, try to figure something out, help somebody, or learn something new, read a book, whatever those things were. Or there were the guys that just moped around. And man, you weren't that guy. And what I really think's cool is you walked right out of prison and you are doing things that you are making a difference with, both on your personal side and your business side. And then that's got to fill you up. It's got to be good.
thank
It's
you.
got to make you feel good.
It does make me feel good. I mean, I still got a lot. I still feel like I got a long ways, but
We all do.
right now, yeah, right now I'm good. And a lot of
Yeah.
people, why are you so happy? So, they tell me that. I'm like, man, I guess you got to go through what I've gone through, and then you just appreciate life more.
Yeah.
And I'll go to a store, man, and I'll see these people miserable as hell, and it's 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, God dang, really,
Yeah.
really? I kind of tell myself, what is going through their life that it's 8 o'clock in the morning and they're so freaking miserable already,
They're stuck. They're
Yeah,
stuck. There's a lot of people just stuck and they won't step out of it because they're used to the same bad schedule, the same
yeah,
bad routine, and they're afraid to step into something that they could be happy with. It's
yes, sir, man.
unfortunate.
Yeah,
Billy,
and
man. Yeah, go ahead.
one more thing, man. If somebody out there, listens to this and really pays attention, the only thing I can tell you, you're never too old, you're never too young to go to prison, man. You can make the
Yeah.
slightest mistake and not even think that it's going to cost you that much, and
Yeah.
you'll be in my shoes and thousands of other people's shoes. So
Good
thank you for
advice,
having
man.
me. Thank
Oh,
you for
Billy,
having me, man.
I really appreciate you being on, Billy. I always thought you were one of the cool ones. So I really
Thank you.
appreciate it. And I love what you're doing with your life, and it's cool. So for those folks out there that haven't, we're talking about reading books. If you need a book, I wrote one called Nightmare Success. And everybody, I love the likes, subscribing, leave a review on Apple if you feel like it. But thank you for being here today, Billy Vasquez. Thank you so much, man.
Thanks
Nightmare
for having
Success
me,
in and
brother.
out. All right,
Thank you.
man.